Incidence of teacher curricular emphasis in reading achievement of Uruguayan ninth grade students. Matías Núñez, Elisa Borba, Cecilia Emery, Eliana Lucián, Leonardo Moreno, and Inés Méndez. Universidad de la República and National Institute of Educational Assessment. Objectives. Assessing opportunities to learn implies the measurement of different aspects of the curricular implementation in the classroom, such as the contents that the teacher selects for the course at the time of exposure and the frequency of the task proposed. This work analyzed the relationship between the emphasis made by teachers of ninth grade on different reading contents and student performance in reading tests. The aim of this research is to establish the effect of the emphasis with which teachers propose different types of reading activities on student performance. Background. The opportunities to learn that the educational system offers to students are currently one of the central objects of educational evaluation. The International Association for the Evaluation of Educational Achievement, the second international study in mathematics, was one of the organizations to use this concept, showing the correlation between student performance and the opportunity to have tackled a certain curricular content in class. Since then, plenty of evidence show the importance of OTL. Students with the same social background who attend schools with a similar social composition, but some have a significantly higher performance level because their teachers gave them a greater opportunity to learn. In this relationship, the analysis of teaching practice is the key, since the teacher determines their learning opportunities through the activities proposed in class. Theory. OTL seeks to analyze the alignment between the prescribed and the implemented curriculum, but also to what extent this alignment and other school conditions influence the performance of the students. This study focused on curricular implementation, and more specifically on curricular emphasis. What do we mean by curriculum implementation? The coverage of the contents, the exposure to them, measured through the time dedicated to them, and the emphasis on the implementation, that is, what contents are treated with priority in the classroom over others in the program. And what do we mean by emphasis on curricular content? Measured as the percentage of classroom pedagogical time that teachers devote to the work of curricular content. The database. This study uses data from the 2018 National Evaluation of the Uruguayan Educational System, ARISTES, carried out by the National Institute of Educational Assessment. ARISTES is applied to a representative sample of ninth grade students of the Uruguayan urban region. Students answer contextual questionnaires and take two multiple-choice tests to assess reading and math. Students' ability are estimated based on test results using EDM response theory, and in particular, the Rush model. To obtain information on curricular implementation, ARISTES asks teachers if they have covered, and with how much emphasis, a series of curricular activities that can be classified into three reading dimensions: literal, inferential, and critical. The database is available in this link. Here we have some examples of activities classified according to reading dimension. For example, in the literal dimension, we have recognized basic elements of the enunciation situation. And in the inferential dimension, we have recognized the subject of the paragraph or statement. On the other hand, we have critical dimension, evaluate and/or interpret the facts, situation, or concept posed by the text. Methodology. Classes reported by each teacher for each of the written dimensions are relatively sized to the total of classes according to the school calendar, assuming that the relative weight that the teacher reports in each activity is a valid measure of the real time spent in class. This is a model for compositional data. It is an explanatory and not a predictive model. For the purpose of this study, the group performance or ability is the average of the scores assigned by an Eden theory response to all the students of the group. Compositional data. The vector X indicates the relative emphasis the teacher reports assigning to each of the dimensions. This type of compositional data analysis doesn't allow for classical or hierarchical regression models, as its assumptions do not hold. The association that exists between the components of the vector determines a series of methodological difficulties that lead to the need for specific techniques for this type of data. A large number of applications of compositional data theory are found in the literature. However, there are few applications in reference to educational data, and in particular in the area of educational evaluation. Results. Descriptive data. Figure 1 shows the strong relationship between the quintiles of the socioeconomic level of the group and the average reading performance obtained by the groups of students. Left panel. Moreover, higher reading habits of the group also have an effect on student performance. The groups who perform better on the test devote more time to activities that involve critical reading. Moreover, as group performance improves, the proportion of classes dedicated to literal reading decreases. These trends do not appear to apply to inferential reading. The regression model. To model the problem, a non-parametric regression model and a parametric regression model are considered. Higher group performances is associated with an increase in the proportion of classes in which critical reading activities are taught. Controlling the effect. A possible mistake when interpreting these results is to infer a direct association between emphasis and student performance when, strictly speaking, it could be an indirect effect caused by student reading habits and socioeconomic and cultural level of the group. To control the effect of socioeconomic status and reading habits on performance, two-step regression is estimated. The variables are significant in this model. Conclusions. This work is a novel contribution to educational policy in Uruguay, as the topic has never been studied, and it also contributes to educational evaluation, as it applies the analysis of compositional data to this field of research. Findings show a relationship between reading test score and emphasis placed by teacher on different reading dimensions. Even when controlling for socioeconomic and cultural level of the group of students and their reading habits variables, the evidence holds. Greater emphasis placed on critical reading activities versus literal reading is associated with higher group results on the reading test. The addition of other variables to the model, such as prior reading achievement, is going to be explored in future research. Thank you.